Each entry in the Castlevania series, be it a game or a novel, attempts to weave a thread connecting its protagonist to the legendary NES-era hero. But as any Castlevania fan will tell you, the family connections are complex and tangled across dimensions, making it a challenge to understand the true relationships of each Belmont character. For the most part, there aren't many instances in the long history of Castlevania where you find more than one Belmont running through the ages. However, a new era arrived in Dracula's castle with Castlevania Nocturne, a world where the Belmonts aren't the direct descendants of their legendary ancestors. Instead, it explores the stories of distant heirs, heroes born centuries after the original legends. This is where we're introduced to the charming and action-packed Juste Belmont. As this episode unravels, you'll soon discover everything there is about Juste Belmont, the central character of our story, and his struggle to uphold the family name. Are you ready to unravel yet another Belmont legacy? Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Juste Belmont from games to anime. In the 8-bit world of Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, our spotlight falls upon Juste Belmont, the famous descendant of the Belmont family. If you're looking for a family tree with more twists, you've come to the right place. Juste not just your average Belmont. He's got some serious magical mojo, and he owes that to his roots in the mystical Belnatus clan. Before we dive into Juste's world, let's rewind a bit. You see, it all started with Simon Belmont, the family's original monster masher. After Simon's showdown with Count Dracula, the Belmonts went from being the neighborhood outcasts to local legends. Simon was hailed as a savior, and folks couldn't stop singing his praises. The grateful townsfolk decided to throw in with the Belmonts, and together they founded a little village. Soon, Juste grew up in this unique environment with his childhood pals Maxim Kishin and Liddy Erlanger. But in the world of Castlevania, peaceful times are simply rare. Once every century, Dracula hits the resurrection button, and that's when the real party begins. You see, when Dracula makes his comeback, it's like a monster magnet pulling in all the ghouls, ghosts, and things that go bump in the night. And it's the Belmont's job to RSVP with their whips and holy water. And Juste had a unique task on his to-do list. He wasn't just chasing the big guy's cape. He was on the hunt for Dracula's body parts all across Castlevania. Juste's story differs in the anime. Well, kinda. In the world of the animated series Castlevania Nocturne, we meet Juste Belmont, a character whose story is as haunting as it is interesting. He is not just any Belmont, he's the grandfather of Richter Belmont, the star of another chapter in this vampiric storyline. But Juste's life took a turn into the shadows that left him estranged from his own bloodline. Juste was a member of the Belmont clan, a lineage known for their relentless pursuit of vampires. But what set Juste apart was his command over magic, a trait he inherited from his ancestress, the remarkable Sypha Belnatus. In his best days, he was a powerhouse, taking down countless vampires single-handedly. Life took an unexpected turn for Juste when he found love in the arms of Liddy, and together, they welcomed a daughter, Julia, into the world. A violent incident resulted in the deaths of both Liddy and his close friend Maxim, plunging Juste into a world of despair. With the loss of his loved ones, something within Juste broke. His determination waned, and his powerful magic deserted him, leaving him drained of his spirit. When his daughter Julia aimed to continue the family's legacy by going to the New World to hunt vampires, Juste firmly refused to accompany her. The gameplay: weakening friendship and awakening Dracula. Maxim returned, battered and suffering from a case of memory loss. Urgently, he declared that Liddy, the one he loved, was taken. Despite their injuries, Maxim rallied Juste, and they set out on a quest to save her. Soon they stumbled upon a castle whose existence had somehow eluded every cartographer in the land. This wasn't your regular castle, it was something stranger. Maxim, still wounded, recognized it was important to heal first. He decided to stay behind while Juste ventured further into the abyss. With only his trusty vampire killer whip and a mysterious bracelet linking them, Juste bravely confronted the unknown. Inside the castle's dark halls, danger was hidden at every corner. It didn't take long for Juste to find himself in a chase, pursued by a monstrous undead knight. With no exit in sight, he had but one choice: to press forward in search of Liddy, clutching his whip with immense determination. As he journeyed deeper into the Dracula's castle, Juste began to unravel the truth behind Maxim's ill-fated training expedition. You see, Maxim had harbored a desire, a wanting to prove himself as the stronger of the two friends. In a daring move, Maxim copied the legendary Simon Belmont of 5 decades earlier and collected Dracula's remains. but fate has a way of playing tricks on those who dare to defy it. Maxim's plan backfired, and he was under Dracula's complete control. Maxim's adventure left him with more than just battle scars. He found himself hosting two personalities within himself, Maxim and a dark alter ego named Dark Maxim. A sinister doppelganger of the wounded hero emerged as the carrier for Dracula's will. The split in Maxim's psyche was responsible for Liddy's unfortunate kidnapping, and it masterminded the memory loss that left Maxim confused and disoriented. The goal? To use Maxim as a pawn, a reluctant tour guide, if you will, leading Juste straight into the heart of Dracula's castle. The split in Maxim's mind also affected the castle structure. It became a unique 2-in-1 castle with mystical portals connecting both sides. Each side reflected a different part of Maxim's personality, creating a strange duality in the castle's design. The player's choices and whether Juste wore both bracelets or not determined Maxim's fate. These choices led to different endings, each more mysterious than the last.
Who? Juste Belmont, your grandfather.
The animated series, a tale of its own. Years had passed, and Juste found himself in a dimly lit local tavern. As he indulged in a meal, Juste spotted his own flesh and blood, his grandson Richter, struggling to get a meal. A simple nod to the bartender, and Richter's hunger was satisfied, all thanks to Juste's generosity. In the midst of this odd exchange, the atmosphere in the bar shifted like a cold wind. Soon, a vampire walked in, demanding Juste's presence. Juste had made a rather bold promise to this bloodsucker, pledging to end them if they ever dared to show their fangs in town. Richter, sensing danger, reached for his enchanted whip, but, sly as a fox, he spirited it away and put it to deadly use, sending the vampire to meet its unholy maker. But of course, he soon returned the whip to Richter. More than curious, Richter wasn't about to let this old man slip away without answers. He pursued Juste, demanding to know his identity. And soon, Juste unveiled his ties, admitting that he was none other than Richter's grandfather. Richter learned a tragic story from Juste, as he told him about his grandmother and friend's brutal end. As Juste turned to take his leave, Richter sensed an evil presence approaching. His instincts were spot on. Vampires were closing in, and soon he found himself outnumbered and overpowered by Nikolai and his ruthless gang. Richter was helpless, and his fate hung by a thread. Juste could only watch the horror unfold, unable to intervene. Richter looked at his grandpa one final time before his impending death, and there, in that very moment, he saw the same resolve in Juste's eyes as his mother had displayed before her tragic end. It ignited a dormant power within Richter, awakening latent magic that surged through his veins. In a twist, Richter fought back, defeating the vampire goons with newfound strength. Juste, freed from his restraints, seized the whip, and together they confronted Nikolai. The battle raged on, and as the dust settled, they emerged victorious. What kind of a Belmont is Juste? Juste Belmont, some might say, is the dark horse among the Belmont clan. A man of few words and even fewer connections to the outside world. His world revolves around just two childhood friends, Maxim and Liddy. He loves them deeply and would do anything to protect them. He never loses faith in Maxim, even when he's possessed by Dracula's spirit. Juste is a beacon of justice and courage, a true Belmont. But here's where the animated version adds some interesting layers to the mix. In this iteration, Juste is a somber old soul bearing the weight of a heartbreaking past, the loss of his wife, and his dearest friend. Despite the heavy burden he carries, he hasn't lost his sense of humor. When he talks with Richter, he still throws in a clever comeback or two, and a hint of wit remains in his responses. As he becomes more reclusive, Juste remains a strong financial support for his grandson Richter. His caring nature is evident, especially when they face danger from Bathory's hunter. And that's what sets Juste apart from the rest of the Belmonts. He's not just brawn, he's a mystic maestro, a guardian of family, and a survivor in solitude. He's the all-rounder of the Belmont clan, a character that's as multi-dimensional as they come. He is a man who defies the mold, my personal favorite among the Belmonts. How powerful is Juste Belmont? First, there's invulnerability. Juste possesses the remarkable capability to temporarily transform into an unstoppable force with his burning mode. It's not some magic trick he picked up. This ability is in his blood, an innate power that all Belmonts share. When a Belmont faces off against a serious foe, someone with equal or greater strength, they have the uncanny knack to harness the soul of their adversary and wield their abilities as sub-weapons. Imagine absorbing the essence of your enemy and turning their powers against them. Up next, cleaning up Dracula's magical mess. The Belmonts have a unique knack for undoing the Dark Lord's corruption of humans. Juste, for instance, managed to snap Maxim out of Dracula's wicked control. It's a supernatural intervention for the mind, a true reflection of the Belmonts' resilience. The Belmont clan doesn't just stand still, they evolve with the times. As Dracula grows stronger with each resurrection, they've had to reactively grow stronger themselves. It's a survival mechanism, a way of keeping up with the ever-increasing power of their mortal enemy. Telekinesis is also in their bag of tricks. Just like a puppeteer, Belmonts can control the arc and movement of their weapons with a mere thought. And this is a real kicker: social influencing. Once shunned for their powers, the Belmont clan earned the acceptance of Transylvania by being their saviors. You could call it the ultimate PR move, turning fear into respect, and that's a superpower in its own right and my personal favorite. Further, the Belmonts have a unique knack for empowering the weapons they wield. Just having these legendary tools in their possession can supercharge them, turning incomplete artifacts into weapons of vampire destruction. Juice may have lost his magic mojo, but he's still a master martial artist and warrior. In his prime, he was a sorcerer of unimaginable might, the most powerful the Belmont lineage had ever produced. However, that power dwindled after the devastating loss of his wife and best friend, but his whip-wielding skills remain razor-sharp, a deadly instrument in the fight against the undead. Marvelous verdict. Juice Belmont, the vampire hunter, is a character whose story defies convention. His range of powers sets him apart in the Belmont clan's lineage. Yet, Juice's true strength lies in his dedication to protecting those he loves. In the animated series, we witness a different facet of Juice, a world-weary old man marked by personal tragedy. Yet he retains a glimmer of hope and a profound caring for his grandson. Juice's journey sums up the Belmont legacy, evolving in the face of Dracula's never-ending resurrections. While his magical abilities waned after personal losses, his mastery of vampire slaying and unbeatable spirit continued to shine. In the world of vampire tales, Juice Belmont goes beyond the stereotypical vampire hunter. He's a character of depth, adapting to both supernatural threats and the complexities of life, all with a touch of humor and a dash of courage that makes him a fan favorite. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.